You are listening to the Betterme podcast. Before we get into today's episode, wish you all a fantabulous day ahead. Books are the best companions of life if we know how to handle them or how to use them wisely. If you want to be successful, read books. If you want to be a smart person, read books. If you wish to become a knowledgeable person, read books. If you want to become the best version of yourself, then do read books. Only if you read books, you can achieve or you are very close to achieving your goals or to become more successful. I have reiterated this point in a number of episodes in this podcast, just not me. Take up an example of anybody who inspires you. Go check their autobiography or read about them, or if possible, listen to their interviews. You would find that they were an avid reader, or they would for sure acknowledge books as one of the main reasons why they were successful in life. This world is huge. There are numerous things to learn about it. And one life is not enough, believe me, to go research deep into it, find out all by yourself. This one life will not be enough because there are plenty of topics to discover in this world. But what if somebody has already done some advanced research or has already documented whatever they have known about it, about the topic in which they have researched or well-versed, and you get it precisely in the form of a book, a few hundred pages, where you can actually understand somebody who's been through or who's done a whole lot of research, a life full of research on that topic. Wouldn't that be great? Instead of spending your whole life on something, just a few hours of a book which has the whole result of doing and research on that topic. This is how books help you. There are numerous advantages of reading a book, and you can get to know any topic that you want to learn in this world. So, books are really vital when it comes to enhancing yourself or becoming a smarter person, a knowledgeable person, or to be more successful. Having said that, most of us think or want to read books because we have known plenty of its impact on ourselves, and we might even be inspired to read books after hearing such inspirational or motivational talks about how to improve ourselves, and books are the one of the easiest means or ways through which you can enhance yourself. But we might have not been into this practice of reading books. Some of us might have even tried to take up a book and try to read it. For those who are not into the habit of reading books, I'm talking about those people who try to inculcate such habit, but might have not got that interest to read it after you've been through a few pages, or it might have felt too monotonous, or it might have been something that which you want to do but you're not able to do. That kind of a situation you might have been put into. And for those who want to read books but are having a problem or do not know how to inculcate that habit, this episode is exclusively for you. Some people inculcate this habit of reading books at a very younger age, where they were brought up in such a way that they had to read books, so they just got used to it. Or some people at some point of time, they might have read some books which interest them, and they might have found it very useful or helpful, or they might have an attraction or an interest towards reading book, and they might have started reading books. So there is no age as such to start reading a book, because at any age you are, once you start reading the books, the benefits are the same and it's plentiful. So don't hesitate or be worried that you are not at this age to read a particular book, or you are not at the right age or have missed that age where you have to be reading, where you should have read books. Nothing of that sort. And there are a few tips to take into mind when it comes to starting to read a book or starting to develop the habit of reading. Instead of choosing something that is very boring, Like, there are normally the notion is that self-help books or philosophical books or spiritual books or anything that is non-fiction, people have this notion that it is very boring. For those who start reading, sometimes you might even feel boring because most people do not like advice as such. So you might not like to start with a book that is a non-fiction. Instead, every one of us loves stories. So try starting a fictional book, a genre which you like, be it a comedy or romance or mystery or drama or a normal classical fiction that you like. Just start reading such books, which books that help make you to turn the pages, books which actually make you want to read more and more. The plot of the story, the way it is narrated, all these things will keep you attracted or attached to the book till you finish it. Go for such kind of books to start with. Once you get into the habit of reading such books, or once you get into the habit of reading after you're done with a few books of that kind, automatically you will be able to switch on to non-fictional books which you were actually wanting to read, or the self-help books, the philosophical books, or the spiritual books. And when you read those books at that time, when you're already used to reading, then you won't feel bad. You will be able to go through the book and you will be able to understand your own pace of reading, and you will be able to finish that book. That's how it's better to move from a non-fiction to a non-fiction instead of starting with a non-fiction when you are new to reading books. That being said, it is one of the strategy. The other strategy would be to choose a book which is not so big. Yes, this might sound a bit silly, but to start with, when you choose a book which is not so big or which is very small compared to the bulky ones which you normally see, your tendency to finish it would be higher because it's very small and you would finish it off. But when you get a book which is really bigger, you would feel hesitant because you will have this notion that it's so big and how am I going to complete this? These kind of thoughts come up. I'm talking about those who are starting to read, and for those who should get or should develop that interest of reading books. Only for those people, not for those who are already into reading. That is a different thing. Once you develop this habit of reading, you won't mind the size of the book or the way it looks or the language. You'll get into it. That's something that will get or that you can get used to over a period of time. So the third thing would be to choose a book that interests you, or choose a book where your interest lies. You might be somebody who's interested in a mystery, or you might be interested in philosophical stuff, or you might be interested in science fiction. So depending on what you like, choose the book that you read at the start. If you are somebody who does not really like science fictions or books related to scientific stuff, then choosing a book of that sort to start with, or at the starting phase of your reading process or your reading habit, it's going to make you feel that reading is really very boring. No. So never ever get into the topics that are of not that importance or which doesn't interest you that much at the start. Once you get into the process of reading, once you get accustomed to reading a few books, then you can switch to whatever genre you like and also explore all the types of genre. But when you start with, make sure that you choose the topic or the genre that you like. Following these simple techniques or tips would help you to develop or complete a book at the start and grow this habit of reading books. Once you start reading books, be it small or big, whatever topic it covers or whatever genre it includes, you would be able to get the crux of it and would not get bored. I assure you that. But see to it that you develop the habit of reading books by doing or following these simple techniques to start with.